So, welcome to Electrify This. This week, we're doing something a little bit different for Ask an EV Owner because Sarah Bickerton, who I'm speaking to right now, you're in New Zealand, and that's a bit far for me to travel to talk about your electric vehicle. Sarah, introduce yourself and can you let people know what you ride?
Okay, well, my name's Sarah Hendrica Bickerton. I'm a lecturer at the University of Auckland, and for my sins, I live in Auckland, New Zealand, which I think Sarah's you're just using an excuse of the distance not to pop over here. Admittedly, we got a storm front coming in right now, so I don't know. It's like I don't know if there'll be a great time right now.
Probably what do I at this moment?
Yeah. But what I ride currently is an electric Super SOCO TC MAX. It's about a 150cc equivalent, if anyone knows their motorcycles. So not huge. She does all the things that you need to. I've had her for just over 2 years now. I got her in July 2023, and I've done about 10,000 kilometers on it, believe it or not. So,
Wow.
I've clocked up the range on her for a commuter bike. That I'd say that's okay.
So, what is the range?
The range is, well, the stated range is about 110 kilometers.
Okay.
However, that's really highly dependent on things like speed, wind, temperature,
And I suppose where
hills.
you live, temperature could be a big issue, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, Auckland couldn't. It's not too bad. Auckland doesn't get cold. So we don't get below freezing, so that's fine. But I do notice I've had a couple of 4-degree mornings where I've been riding in like the Michelin woman in all my thermal gear, and I definitely notice the efficiency drop and my range drop and stuff. And also, I will admit, it's like I'm like 5'8", 5'9". I'm of solid Dutch stock, so we are the women that hold back the tide, and I am not the lightest woman on the face of the earth. So I don't know who they got the 110 kilometers on, but it certainly wasn't huge Dutch women. I'm just saying.
So you've never gotten 110 out of.
No, I think I generally get around on like a warm day when it's fine. I may be doing 100 Ks, but that would be at city speeds, I would say. Not as soon as I'm going 80, 90, 100 K an hour, it yeah, the speed the range just plummets. The stated top speed is 95. I had looked it up on the website just to double check, but I've had it up to about 105 on the flat.
And your commute where you're riding this is to work, and it's mostly city riding, is it?
Mostly city
what
riding,
distance is that?
and then I ride from my suburb down to the motorway, and then I hop on the motorway and I ride into the city, and I come into campus and park on campus. I get around, not that this matters to much people, but I get around about 4 trips. And then I need to charge the battery, so it's absolutely
how do you
doable.
charge it?
Oh,
Where
you can.
do you charge it? I mean,
It's both the strengths and weaknesses of the bike. It's solely a home 3-pin arrangement.
Right.
You can, but the TC Max has an advantage where you can either charge the battery inside the bike, or you can remove the battery and carry it up into your apartment and charge it, which as an apartment dweller, that matters a lot to me, because then
you
I
do
can...
that a lot?
Yeah, I do that a lot. I either charge it on campus or the majority of the time charging at home. I just pull the battery out of the bike and carry it inside the apartment and charge it that way. I mean, I say just, but the battery is like 20 something kilos.
I was about to say, what does that weigh?
Yeah.
My next question.
Yeah. Let's just say you're not going to go walking around town swinging it with your hand. It's got some chonk to it.
That's actually something I love about the Fonz Arthur 7 is that, or any of the Fonz other than the Z series, is that it has those split batteries. So you can take one out, you can still run on that other battery, and they're 11 kilos each. I feel like that's a very manageable weight.
It's like having 20 something kilos off one hand is that takes a lot. It's like I look at the Maeving RM1 and RM1S in Britain, and they have 2. And it
What do they weigh? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head, but that has a probably better performance, I'd say, than Super SOCO TC MAX is pretty good. But the Maeving has a higher top speed and a longer range and stuff like that. Not massively so, but sufficient. So I'd say if you're having a singular battery, the weight of what's in the TC Max is probably the max that you want to get it to, simply for luggability. It's like you wouldn't want to go much heavier than that.
That Maeving is so sexy.
Oh, it's so gorgeous. Oh my God.
I'm a fan of that bike.
Yeah, I know, me too. It's like full, and they just released a new one called the RM2, which has a longer bench style seat, and
so two people can ride. I'm like,
two people can ride it. Yeah,
even I would buy that. I don't even own a motorcycle or a scooter. I'm like, I'd seriously consider that one. So what did you ride before this bike?
So I learned to ride on dirt bikes as a teenager. It's like when I was about 14, 15. My mother actually taught me to ride because she rode through the 1960s and 1970s in Europe and then in New Zealand when she moved out here. The Dutch side of the family is it's like has a lot of people who rode big BMW motorcycles, like big boxer engines. One of my core memories is as a teenager being on the back of a family member's BMW, riding through the Black Forest in Germany, and we were going around a long curve, and there were like sunbeams going between the trees, and that is like, yes, that is like burnt into the lizard part of my brain, and I like that. Yeah, the fact that I would
one day this will be mine.
Yes, the fact that I ended up being a motorcycle rider now as an adult is not surprising. But I rode Vespa style scooters, traditional ice bikes a lot. But a few years back, I wanted an additional, I don't own a car. I mean, I've held my driver's license since I was 17, but I don't own a car. And I got myself an electric motorcycle, but it was a moped rated one. And I 50, 60k an hour max speed. It's like you just set your Google Maps settings to avoid highways and zoom around the city that way. But I loved it so much that it reconnected with me with the utter joy of riding that I had as a teenager, the freedom, the sheer pleasure of being on a bike. And so I thought, I'm going to have to finally get my license. All the riding I'd done was totally legal up to this point, of course. So I got my learners. I'm very boring. It totally was all legal. So I got my learners, practical and theory, and then passed that, and then immediately got the Super SOCO TC MAX.
Right.
And it's taken me through my learners, my restricted license, and now into my full license.
Wow.
I have no way of verifying this, but I might be the first person in New Zealand to go through their entire progressive licensing process on electric motorcycles.
Wow. I wonder how we would find that out.
I have no idea because we don't record that data.
You know what? You should just say it.
I'm totally going to say it.
No, I got mine in 2020. I'm like, well, there you go. Now I'm not. Okay, sure. But just say it. I'd say just own that.
I'm totally going to own that. Yeah. So it's like, how are they going to disprove it? Seriously.
Yeah. Good luck. Do you see many electric motorbikes or electric scooters in New Zealand?
Okay, so New Zealand's got a bit of a bifurcated market in that regard. Where we are actually, I say, doing okay is that we actually you regularly see electric Vespa-style scooters around on the regular. Then, of course, there's the homegrown FTN Street Dog range.
Yes.
Yeah. So you see those out and about. I've seen the occasional Super SOCO TC MAX, and also electric dirt bikes like the Stark Varg and that kind of stuff are present here.
What about Zero?
No.
Really?
No. We have none of the big electric motorcycle dealers in New Zealand currently.
Wow.
So Zero, Livewire, Energica, none of them have dealerships and have never had dealerships in New Zealand.
That's a bit rude.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm going to kind of understand it. I mean, we are an itty bitty country, like at the far end of the world. And so, getting things to New Zealand, all the ones that we do have on the roads, and I'm friends with a bunch of people who do ride bigger ones, They're all third-party individual imports where
Right.
people have bought it overseas and then brought it separately into New Zealand. There are Harley Davidson in New Zealand, I know, did bring in some of the original live wires as a test bed, but they were priced somewhere in the 40 to 50,000 New Zealand dollar range, and the market for motorcycles is small enough that electric motorcycles at that price range are just itty bitty, and it just wasn't worth their while to keep bringing them into the country.
And do you think, I was reading an article, I think I even shared it with you, sort of talking about things like the street dog, for example, or any kind of smaller electric commuter scooter or motorbike. A lot of the motorcyclists on our road are what, in their 40s, 50s,
Hmm.
straight white men. Potentially, maybe that was their last bike that they've bought. Maybe they won't be buying another one. The motorcycle market is flat in Australia. I would
Hmm.
assume it's something similar in New
It
Zealand.
is.
In terms of uptake of the type of vehicles that we're talking about, I personally think it's a new type of rider. Would you agree with that? It's
I
not that old, straight white boomer man. It's going to be potentially younger riders who've never ridden before, potentially.
No, 100%. I was actually at the New Zealand motorcycle show last weekend, and I've been gone the previous year, and really enjoyed it. And it was noticeably smaller this year. And, like, seriously, like really noticed how much smaller it was compared to previous year. Now, the one upside was that there were people that had stalls, organizations, companies that had stalls who hadn't had stalls in previous years. So
Okay.
that's a positive. But in terms of overall numbers, it was definitely smaller number of stalls and regulars. But because I'm a big nerd, I got chatting with some of the stall owners, and we were talking about the traditional, as we conceptualize it in a Western, particularly Anglo idea of what who a motorcyclist is. It's like, what do they ride, et cetera, et cetera. It's flat, if not declining.
Yeah.
It's like getting into the traditional motorcycle industry right now isn't a safe bet. It makes like opening up a bar or restaurant look like a sure thing at this point. And one of the guys I was chatting with, and he says, like, we need different models. We just need it. The old model that they've been banking on for so long just isn't sustainable. It's not going to stick around. That market. While, I mean, there are some new people coming into the market, the market isn't that anymore, and it's going to have to change if it's going to survive. And they were talking about, like, there has to be new models, there has to be just a different way of doing things. And to your point, I think electric can be part of that. Now, there are those of us that love motorcycle touring. I adore it, and I would say, probably the majority, and this is something I've read and listened to opinions about, and I genuinely tend to agree with it. In the West, we traditionally conceptualize motorcycles in terms of being enthusiast type stuff. People that enjoy it and want to go out for touring and for riding and stuff like this. That's the Western way of looking at motorcycles. The
Right.
rest of the world doesn't look at it that way. Motorcycles are workhorses. They're smaller. They're simpler, which we know electric vehicles are. They are designed to just get around your city and do the job and just do the thing. And they're nothing special. You don't. In a lot of these cultures through Asia, through the subcontinent, in Africa, you don't identify as a motorcyclist. You use a motorcycle, and that's where I think, the real revolution regarding electric vehicles there are. In a space with an older demographic, an overwhelmingly and increasingly reactionary demographic that fits into, that was where motorcycles were. In a way, they're not the people that we're going to be able to convince.
And actually, in China, seeing all those, are they tuk-tuks, they're
Tuk
called?
tuks, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they were all electric.
Mm.
And they were doing, like, people were running businesses off them. I saw someone carrying cooking equipment, like running an actual kitchen off it and all sorts of things. And then just electric scooters, like everywhere, with their own special lanes either side of the road, one way and then going the other way, and very safe, but all sorts of different types of people on there. I
Yeah.
saw way more electric scooters than I saw bicycles. And I wonder actually then, in terms of the Australian market, if let's say it was a younger demographic, which
Mm.
say FTN, I think are going for a younger demographic with that kind of cafe style racer.
Yeah.
I mean, they are going after maybe, hey, if you don't want to buy a scooter, here's an alternative. It kind of has a similar range and will take you similar places, a little commuter two-wheeler. Are those vehicles, scooters, and something like the FTN, are they competing with electric bicycles? Do you think the electric bicycle market is eating into also that two-wheeled electric take-up when it comes to scooters and motorbikes?
Yeah, I'd say there's probably two things. One is cycles, obviously, electric bikes, but also one thing we're definitely noticing amongst Gen Alpha and Gen Z is a lack of wanting to get their car license.
Right.
Yeah, that's the demographics they're seeing. Not to be all academically wonky here, but yeah, that's the demographic shifts we're seeing. It's like they just don't. It's not a thing that it was for our generations, and so the thing they're also competing with is cheap secondhand cars we all bought when we first became. It's like started university and got the cheap little car, the little hatchback and stuff like this. Electrics aren't at that point yet for those cars. So what they're competing with are traditional internal combustion, maybe hybrids, little Toyota Aquas or something like that. They're the things that they're competing with. And that's possibly for getting around the city and doing things like this. I have seen an explosion over the last, I'd say, few years with so many students are coming into campus on motorcycles. Now they're internal combustion motorcycles, but I am definitely noticing compared to the amount of students that used to come into campus when I was a student, and it wasn't a massive amount on motorcycles, there is more and more students coming to campus on motorcycles now.
If I was to go out and buy a petrol a petrol motorcycle, the 150 versus your bike, what's the price disparity between that?
I bought mine brand new for about 8,000. Well, I got about $500 off it, but brand new, it's about 8,000 New Zealand dollars. Right. Brand new. And I would say that an ice bike you can get for a 150cc, you can get for a chunk 2/3 of the cost of that. The thing is, though, of course, fuel. Now, while a motorcycle, of course, is a lot cheaper than a car, my running costs are virtually non-existent. Because
and fuel is expensive in New Zealand, isn't
fuel
it?
is really expensive in New Zealand.
Yeah. But also you've got electric e-bikes, which have no registration costs and it will cost you virtually nothing to run as well. So
yeah, that's that's one of the things. It's like it is cheaper for a car, but we don't have we're getting better, but we don't have a great developed infrastructure yet for it's developing in some of the major cities. I'd say probably Christchurch is probably the best city in New Zealand for cycling infrastructure. Auckland's not too bad in the context of New Zealand, but it's not remotely in the European models. And Auckland's very built to get around on it's like via motorcycles and urban motorways.
And you are safer on a motorbike or a scooter versus a bicycle in that you can take the lane.
Yep.
And you can keep up with traffic flow. And I don't think you'll be going on a motorway anytime soon on an e-bike. Well, I hope you wouldn't be anyway.
No.
Yeah, I get your point.
Yeah, so that's, I think we're at a transition point. Not just regardless of whether or not we're talking about EVs or not. It was like in terms of motorcycles, everybody's recognizing that the motorcycle industry is increasingly precarious right now, and they're exploring changes and stuff like this. In fact, a lot of people have said that the shift to automatic, like DCT, internal combustion motorcycles, is part of the fact that the motorcycle buying demographics getting so old that getting automatic transmission rather than manual transmission is an advantage to older riders to keep riding. I don't know how true that is in an argument, but that
Well,
is.
actually, I never rode a motorcycle because I do have a gammy ankle and I was like, I can't ride. So I always rode 16 years, I rode a scooter.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I can ride a motorbike now. This is awesome. And I have been. It's like, oh, and I'd never done it before, but I
Yeah.
had all the riding experience. So I just got on and went, who cares? It's a slightly different seated position. I quite like this thing between my legs and off I go kind of thing. And it was
Yeah.
like, great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think, I mean, that's one of the things that I hear from some of the traditional motorcyclists is that they love the sound for start off. And I will admit, I do love the sound of a BMW, Ducati, Triumph motorcycle. It's like, I do like that sound. But I also like the sound of the Star Wars speeder bike sound that you get on an electric motorcycle at speed. It's like, whoa, and it's got that sound to it, and I enjoy both.
Actually, can you explain to people what it feels like being on an electric motorcycle? That just explain the feeling of there being no sound and what it's like.
Okay, so it's real. That was the thing that surprised me after having ridden internal combustion bikes. Electric motorcycles are different. For a start, you hear everything around you. It's like you're riding through and you can hear people talking next to you. You're really aware of the road. You're really aware of the world around you, because even more so than being on an internal combustion bike, because you don't have that. You're also your ass doesn't get sore because, well, it might, but it won't get sore because the bike isn't vibrating.
Right.
And there's also it's we all know that like electric acceleration is instant, right? It's like immediate torque whenever you need it. One of the things that you learn when you learn how to ride internal combustion bikes is that you have to have it in the right gear, and you have to know what's the point in your revs that you get the max power out of. That's why motorcyclists will drop down a gear if they're doing passing, because it's an immediate power boost when they drop down at a certain speed to increase their revs to pass someone, because you know that that's where the power delivery is, and you have to pay attention to that kind of stuff. Electric motorcycles, it's the same torque, the same acceleration everywhere on the speed line. It's a one-to-one, well, one-to-one, but it's a like straight line, immediate torque at each point in those things. You don't have to drop down. So you have to be more aware of the speed rather than the gearing that you're in when you're riding, because of the fact that it's easy to forget that you're doing a certain speed because you don't have the audible or vibrational feedback telling you that, like, oh yeah, you're in the wrong gear, or you're in the power range that you need. I enjoy it. I mean, one of the things, my bike, because it's a lighter weight 150, they've programmed the BMS slightly, the battery management system, so that it doesn't actually give you full torque immediately from a standing still, because and this is what I am as soon as you go up above about 10k an hour, that the full power comes in. But my theory behind that is that I suspect they realized the bike is light enough that if they gave full torque immediately, you'd be shink, because it would just the torque, even though it's not a huge motor at all, because it's a 150cc bike, it still delivers enough torque that if they gave you full torque immediately, you'd lose control really fast because of how light a bike it is.
Do you know how light your bike is? Like what the weight is?
100 something kilos. That's
okay,
it.
so
Yeah.
pretty light, easily maneuverable, which is
Oh,
good.
yeah, very much so.
And does it have regen braking?
No, my model doesn't. Everybody surprises everybody. Most electric motorcycles and scooters do.
Can you explain to people what that is?
Okay, so regen is when you're slowing down and using, basically effectively running the battery in reverse. So instead of taking power out of the battery and putting it into the wheels, it uses the motion of the wheels to charge the battery back up again. In a way,
the motor goes in reverse.
Motor goes in reverse, yeah. Actually, motorcyclists are familiar with this because a lot of them use engine braking. Anytime you hear a motorcycle slowing down behind you and it gets really loud, that's because they're using the motor to slow themselves down with. Now, of course, you don't pump gasoline back into your tank when you do that on an internal combustion bike, but you do an electric one, of course. Yeah. Most of them, except for mine. Mine doesn't.
I actually found the regen on the FTN Street Dog 80 really good.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought that bike rode so well.
Oh yeah, no, I've test rode one and I really enjoyed it. Yeah, the regen just worked absolutely. Well, it takes a little bit of getting used to, of course. When you're used to rolling off the throttle and you're just coasting, the fact that the bike itself is braking for you is something that it takes a little while to get used to. But once you're used to it, it just becomes normal, and also B, it makes you feel good because you're not wearing out your brake pads.
Yeah. Well, I get in a car now, and if it doesn't have regen or if it's not an electric car, I'm like, what? Oh, the brake. Like,
Yeah,
I'm so used to it and conditioned to driving one pedal is like, oh,
100%.
yeah.
I use a car share service here in Auckland on those rare occasions where I do need a car, and like for touring, because my bike can't tour. It's a commuter bike only, because it can't use public chargers, unfortunately. And as soon as I get into each of the cars that I've booked through the car share service, I will get into the settings and immediately max out the regen, and so that, because that to me is how you drive an electric car. I don't imagine.
So you only get electric car? Is that an electric car sharing service?
There are two services that I'm a member of. There's one called Zilch, which is, as the name suggests, it's 100% electric. They're a smaller, and then the other one is Mevo, which is present throughout New Zealand, or at least Christchurch, Auckland, and Wellington. They have a mixture of both electric and internal combustion cars, but their premium cars are all electric. They've only just got a couple of little small hatchbacks that are hybrids. And but yes, like I always go for the electric options because it's just a nicer drive. I had a weekend away. Sorry, I had a week away last Christmas where I borrowed a friend's car to go camping with, and I'm not going to complain. She was wonderful enough to lend me her car, but it was my first time driving an internal combustion car in forever, and God, I hated it. It was like, this is not responsive. I mean, her car was a great car, but it was like, it wasn't responsive. It's like, I was like, had to wait. Oh yes, you have to wait for the engine to respond.
No, you're conditioned for instant torque now.
Yes,
all the way. Once you've had it, you can't let it go.
Absolutely.
And so how is the electric car market, just as a matter of interest, going in New Zealand?
Well, okay, so we've had, we are increasing our share of cars in New Zealand becoming electric. It is, but we are a long way behind Aussie. Aussie are way ahead of us.
Way ahead of us before you had a change of.
We had a change of government.
Yeah.
And I mean, while not as overtly anti-EV as, say, a certain administration overseas that won't be named, they have, to a certain extent, pulled a bit of a populist Ford Ranger and fossil fuel re-embrace. They've removed EV incentives entirely. They've put a high level of road user charges. In fact, they used the same measure for road user charges that were on diesel cars and applied them to EVs. So it's actually, in some cases, some EVs are now cost more to run than petrol cars. And they're pushing for more fossil fuel based electricity production. So
good times.
Yeah, yay.
But your fuel is expensive.
Yes.
Your petrol and diesel.
Yes, it is.
So everyone's just paying more.
Everyone's just paying more.
Oh, that's good. Nice. Yeah. Oh, well, at least that's fair.
Yeah, we did in Auckland for a period of time had an additional Auckland and only Auckland based charge on fuel prices. It was a little tax that the Auckland City Council put on it, and that went directly into public transportation development.
Okay, right.
But that got removed also by the current government.
Well, you don't want more and better public transportation.
No, goodness, no. Now, electric motorcycles never had incentives. And the one, so we didn't get that, so we didn't feel it when it dropped. But then again, we don't have a huge electric motorcycle industry in New Zealand. But the advantage is also electric motorcycles are below the 1 ton threshold for road user charges. Ooh. So we don't have to pay those.
Oh, there's your workaround, people.
Get yourself an electric motorcycle so you're not paying fuel to excise tax and you're not paying rucks. I feel slightly guilty. It's like I'm not paying for the roads that I ride on.
All right, well, I have one more question for you. Actually, it's kind of twofold. Would you ever go back to an internal combustion engine motorcycle? And what would be your dream motorbike?
Okay, so no. The short answer is no. I mean, can I ride a nice, a big internal combustion? Yes, I can. Of course, I can. But it's like I love. It's like I don't hate internal combustion motorcycles. I actually really like them. But I love the challenge of being at this leading edge of tech in this regard. We're pushing the threshold, and that excites me in a way that, like, anyone can ride an internal combustion motorcycle, but we're at the cutting edge of the tech, and I'm really enjoying that. It thrills me, the possibility. Touring on an electric motorcycle is something that absolutely thrills me, because it's like you've got to think about it. You challenge in a way that, like, riding an internal combustion doesn't have that for touring. Now, my dream, I've got a few.
I know you can have one. Actually, that's not true. Tell me more.
Okay. I've got the Energica Xperia, which is a big adventure touring ADV. It actually has the biggest battery out there and best range of all the big bikes. I've also got a soft spot for the Livewire 1, which was the original Livewire built by Harley-Davidson before they spun Livewire off. I also have a love affair with just the Zero SRS sport bike, which is their fairing sport bike. It's gorgeous. I think it's absolutely amazing. But also their DSRX, which is their premium adventure touring ADV again. You'll notice the trend. There's also one thing that I'm keeping my finger on a little bit, because there's a rumor, and we've seen at least 2 iterations of prototypes of an electric Royal Enfield Himalayan coming out, and we've got EICMA coming up which is the big international motorcycle show in Europe, and next month, and I'm genuine. That's November, in case of people are watching this on delay. And I'm genuinely interested to see whether or not it's going to be announced. I've seen photos of it, and I've seen some videos that have been not, of course, from Royal Enfield, but from other from people just seeing it and taking photographs, and it is gorgeous, and that has me absolutely intrigued.
Didn't Honda just come out with an electric motorcycle?
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's like it's not groundbreaking, but it has some really interesting tech in there. It's not a bike I would suggest for touring. However, one of the things that Honda has done that a lot of the other motorcycle companies have not is that they've built DC fast charging into that bike.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. The majority of electric motorcycles out there, even if they have public charging in the bike, like, which, as I said, mine doesn't, it's AC. It's traditional AC Type 2 or J1772, which is America. And that it's slower, but it's not massively slower than DC on motorcycles, but it is slower.
It's such a small battery.
But it's just a small battery. You don't take in huge amounts of DC power even when you've got it, because you've got a smaller battery. Batteries for electric motorcycles are generally, although mine's smaller than this, for touring motorcycles, they're somewhere between 10 and 20 kilowatt hours.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
When you think about cars.
Yeah, when you think about cars. It's like, I mean, and we're maxing out with current weight limits for at 20 kilowatt hours. The major advantage of having DC fast charging on a bike, however, is not necessarily speed. It's ubiquity. The far majority of public chargers that have been put in contemporarily are all DC.
Especially on highways, and if you are touring, then they're going to be all DC chargers.
100%. And so it's simply like you pull up on PlugShare and you look at the AC Type 2 charging around you, and it's available, but you're going to have to find it and hope like heck
that's a good point.
it's functioning. But DC is virtually everywhere now. And so it's not about like speed of charging. It's simply ubiquity and availability of the chargers. But yeah, so the majority of my dream bikes have DC fast charging. I'm just going to say it, including the rumored Royal Enfield Himalayan.
Okay, so it sounds like that's at the top of your must-haves list.
Getting there, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Sarah. That has actually been brilliant. I've learnt lots because I actually don't know a great deal about motorcycles, and you know so much more about it than I do. So thank you very much for joining me today. It's been brilliant.
Brilliant. Okay, no, that was absolutely fun. It's like I encourage people, if you want to, think about whether or not you need another car or even a car in general, and maybe get out on two wheels.
Certainly that second car.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Just think about like parking and cost and getting around, particularly in cities like Melbourne and Sydney, where like you're living for that outdoor lifestyle.
Yeah, 100%. Well, there you go. There you go.